The Calgary Flames organization would like to sincerely thank all fans in attendance tonight and every night for another great show of support. Budweiser wants you to remember that more great games are waiting, so please enjoy responsibly. The Calgary Flames are back at the Scotiabank Saddledome Saturday to take on the New York Islanders. Game time is 8 p.m. For all your ticket information, go to calgaryflames.com. On behalf of all of us, my name is Bruce, saying so long and enjoy your evening. Now down to Brendan Parker and Ryan Dittrick for tonight's Ram postgame show, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers.
Winning Motor Trend Truck of the Year 3 times in a row? That had never been done before. Then again, neither had a 12-inch touchscreen or 1,000 pound-feet of torque. Never been done before. It's just kind of our thing.
Welcome to it. Back-to-back nights here at the Scotiabank Saddledome. Flames postgame live is on the air. It's brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. Brendan Parker alongside Ryan Dittrick here. And the Calgary Flames make it back-to-back wins in back-to-back nights as well. And we'll talk about kind of the broader perspective here in terms of this home stretch now. 5 consecutive wins here on Saddledome ice, something that they've been kind of talking about all season long in terms of making this building a tougher place to play in. Tonight, though, it was kind of the second consecutive night. You get one of the top teams in the Pacific Division, or the top team last night, and then tonight one of the top teams in the East in the Toronto Maple Leafs. How did they handle it tonight?
It seems ludicrous to put up 11 goals over the past 24 hours that you're talking about goaltending, because obviously the offense was clicking on all cylinders, and I know we'll get to that. But Jacob Markstrom, phenomenal. He was phenomenal last night when Vegas started to sort of turn the game a little bit in the second and third period. But tonight, it started right at puck drop. This might not have been the start the Flames were looking for, and maybe that's kind of symbolic of what this team has represented this year. You don't quite have your best stuff, but when your goalie's playing like that, and we've talked about the 8 shutouts that he had this year, but these are the types of games that are going to make the biggest difference down the stretch. The difference between winning and losing, and that's what he did tonight for this team.
Yeah, that's well said. Last night it was full marks, 28 saves, and I think it was the second period. More specifically, you looked at where he made the biggest difference. It kind of protected that 3-0 lead. Flames got their feet back underneath them. They end up getting that 4-0 lead, and then never look back. Tonight it's the first period, and I think 20 shots in the first period you face, or close to 18 from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then you kind of look back after the fact that the second period goes the way it does. You're thankful to be out of that first period the way it was.
Oh, and the funny thing is, too, even in this third period, that's a fairly comfortable lead. Rasmus Andersson makes it 5-1 early. You're sitting pretty up 4 at home. That's a pretty good spot to be. But Michael Bunting then makes it a 5-2 game. And, that's a team that can put up goals pretty quickly. And even at that point, I think they put up 16 shots in the third period. Even though it's a 3-goal cushion, maybe it didn't feel so comfortable. But again, from start to finish, their goaltender was locked in, and that's a team that doesn't go away over there. But when your goalie's playing like that, he has the ability to shut the door.
Crossbar in there, too, from Austin Matthews with, I think it was about 4 minutes left or 5 minutes left. Either way, you find ways to get it done, and that was one of those cases here tonight. Calgary Flames victorious 5-2 the final. Let's, without further ado, go through those highlights. So scoreless, as we mentioned in the initial address here, after the first period of play, shots were 18-11 in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then eventually would pay off. This is a kind of a crazy goal mouth scramble that eventually kicks out to Rasmus Andersson.
That looks like a paddle stop there from Markstrom. I mean, these are great looks, and Rasmus Andersson comes up with a toe save and a little bit of everything there, so you can't stop them all. That's a nice pick from Sandin. But what are the odds? The puck bounces right on the tape from the slot area.
Well, you're just saying when you hit a shin pad or a skate, wherever that hit Rasmus Andersson, it could go anywhere, and it ends up going right to Sandin. But the response is what was maybe the most impressive, and it comes 24 seconds later off the stick of Andrew Mangiapane, who's suddenly red hot on home ice.
We've seen some pretty high-end plays over the last 24 hours, but I love the way Michael Backlund sells this. He kind of leans in the shoulder, makes it look like he's going to kind of cut to the net, but that little deception just opens up the defenseman. He makes that drop pass, and a typical typical Andrew Mangiapane form. He's falling as he scores, but he picks the corner.
And then that would set up this, which would be another sequence later in the hockey game, second period as well. Face-off play, nicely set up. Rasmus Andersson goes wide, and it's his D partner, Noah Hanifin, coming in unmarked.
Well, they scored 3 goals on 3 straight shots, but this is the start of it. You mentioned the face-offs. We've seen this in practice. We've seen it a few times in games this year as well. They're drawing it up. That's by design.
And here's the other one, and it is a power play marker, and it comes from Oliver Shillington right off the face-off again. Clean win from Michael Backlund, and then Oliver Shillington with the ball.
A little bit of a peek from Jack Campbell there as he kind of stares down. Jake Muzzin may have gone off the stick, hard to tell. But you like that shooter's mentality. We saw it from the blue line all night, and Oliver Shillington has a rocket.
So there's a couple of goals within 30 seconds of each other in 2 different parts of this hockey game, and then this is the third final one in that sequence of 3 goals on 3 shots. Elias Lindholm shortly after a Johnny Gaudreau breakaway, but Johnny makes a perfect pass here to set up Lindholm, who gets his 17th of the season.
You know, and it actually started on that Shillington goal too, because Johnny Gaudreau was the one who drew the penalty. That was sort of the first time in the game where the Flames were able to sort of stretch them out and start to, get in behind the defense. We see it again there. That's really when the tide turned in that period.
Sure was, and Elias Lindholm in that second intermission interview told me, about the key going into that third period is to get the next one, and they did just that in the early moments of that third period. Rasmus Andersson's point shot through the crowd and eventually finds the back of the net. 2 on the season for Andersson, and the 5-1 lead.
What do you think of that goal celebration? I don't know who he's staring down,
Business.
but that's a good one.
It's business
I
time.
love the way he walks the line there. That's great. He's looking for a lane, but he kind of finds that seam where there's 3 guys lined up, taking away the eyes of Jack Campbell.
This is, as you mentioned, there were moments in that third period where it starts to get interesting, and this is kind of the start of it. Michael Bunting, he scores his 14th of the season off the rush.
That's what the Leafs can do. They're a dangerous rush team. We saw that with the Vegas Golden Knights last night, too, one of the top rush teams. Difficult to defend over the course of 60 minutes. Flames did a good job there, but obviously there's a ton of skill over there that can really break a game open in not very much time.
So 46 saves for Jacob Markstrom, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And maybe that's something we can do right now. I think, just in terms of the highlights, you kind of addressed it in terms of the importance of some of the saves he made and when he made them in this hockey game. But as we take a look at his work, quality of work tonight, 46 saves on the night. And I guess, more importantly, you have to kind of address the fact that it is back-to-back starts. I know it's here on home ice, but, those questions came out just in terms of how you handle these situations. We'll have a lot of them the rest of the way, and I think he answered the call pretty emphatically here tonight.
A lot of talk radio fodder over the course of the day, that's for sure. I think some of us expecting Dan Vladar to go, but Jacob Markstrom wants the net. Every time you talk to him, we kind of addressed this a few days ago in practice. He said, with the schedule tightening up, and if they have another 7 of these back-to-back sets over the next, couple of months, he wants the net as much as possible. And when you're Darryl Sutter making the decision about who's going to be your starting goaltender that night, look at the body of work. How do you make the argument that Dan Vladar comes on? You love the competitiveness there, too. That's a good sign. Certainly, there are going to be opportunities where you have to get your backup in there and get him back up to speed. But right now, Jacob Markstrom is just lights out.
And to be fair, not an easy night, not even in talking in terms of shot volume, because there were quite a few of those and some pretty high-quality looks, but also traffic. You saw a couple of times in instances there in that pack there, but, Goodbranson, Zadorov, they're coming to his defense. There was some traffic. There was some things he had to cope with tonight. Bunting's in his crease, and he had to work tonight. That was a tough night.
We don't see a lot of that fire from we do, but maybe not so much in the throwing punches
the other
side
team,
of things.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really fascinating to see. But you know what? For this guy, you got to feel good for him because he's, win or lose, he really owns his play. Right now, he's riding that wave. That's for sure.
All right, let's go to the head coach, Darryl Sutter, standing by. Let's get his thoughts on the victory here tonight over the Toronto Maple Leafs.
What was kind of the story of the night from your vantage point?
I think we probably didn't have the energy that the other team did. But I thought we hung in there and found ways, and second period scored. Those 2 face-off goals are huge. One being a power play, so they were huge for us.
What's it mean to a team to get that sort of production out of your defensemen in a game like this?
Well, we were trying to get them to shoot more tonight, and it was kind of ebb and flow with that. But those are face-off goal, or that's what they are. That's over the course of the year, your defensemen have to score to be successful in this league. Approximately 35 goals as a group, and we're under that. So after tonight, we might be close to it. but that means that there has to be more shots from up top.
And so, sorry, is that where the stressing more shots came from then?
Well, tonight I think we were looking off a little bit more than we should have or could have.
Darryl, if last night was a Jacob Markstrom statement game, what would tonight be then?
Played good. I mean, you got to stop Austin Matthews and John Tavares. It's not easy. So.
Was that Hanifin goal a set play?
Yeah, we have a lot of set face-off plays, but you got to win draws. And quite honest, we were not very good in face-offs tonight, but we scored 2 face-off goals. So it's just one of those nights.
Was there a turning point in this game? What was the turning point in this game, Chris?
I think Noah's goal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then then we scored right away again on the power play with the same thing. Basically, it's just to win the face-off D-to-D shot.
Does the door-off hit help turn things around too?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the first period was more about, we had the 3 or 4 power plays, and I think, those guys were a little frustrated. So, just got to find different ways. But Toronto's the perfect team, and we're not. So.
That's 5 wins in a row in this building, and I think it's 24-4 in the score. So does that give your team some swagger about feeling better about this building and making it that hard place to play that you're trying to make it?
Well, I think every game's different.
Yeah.
It's not the same every. I mean, the only advantage I get here is I get a change on a whistle or a timeout. So every game's different. Tonight was more about. We could say the power play in the first period wasn't as good, but in the second period, Lindy's line scored 2 goals, right? Face-off goal and Lindy's goal. So that means they regrouped as a line and got it back, and in fact they were on, I think, for the Tavares goal or a Tavares line goal, the first goal. But so you got to find different ways. 2 lines scored, all 4 counting defensemen tonight, but 2 lines scored the goals tonight. So we got to, quite honestly, we got to get more out of everybody.
What do you think wasn't working on the first period power plays?
Actually, we had good chances, but I think Sean hit him once right in the maple leaf, which I remember very well, which could have been that's all you got to do. You could score 20% of your power play, so what did we score tonight? 1 in 5. So that's pretty good for us.
1 in 5. More importantly, you don't give one up on the man advantage either. So you win the special teams battle 1-0, and that is always one of those keys for any hockey team coming in. So some thoughts there from head coach Darryl Sutter. And before we move on, and we got a couple of talking points here, but anything stand out in terms of his commentary from the night?
Going up against a good penalty killing unit, and we know both the Flames and the Leafs have kind of jockeyed for position in recent days in that category, but we're talking about
aggressive.
top 5 units, right?
Yeah.
We were sitting here watching the game thinking the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between the two. Not really lamenting, the looks that they did get, maybe just not bearing down and putting them in the net, but that's pretty much all you can ask of your power play unit. Maybe you're not scoring at the clip you'd like to, especially with those opportunities in the first period, but if you're getting the looks and getting those opportunities, then they're going to fall eventually. So you're not going to point to that as being an area of concern here.
So Michael Backlund, he has the 4-point career night one night ago against Vegas. First star honors, second star tonight, and but that line, Darryl Sutter talked about it this morning. Maybe it starts with the middle of the ice and number 11 and his contributions. But what are you seeing right now in terms of that progression and obviously some of the results that are coming with it?
Hard to disagree with the head coach. He was talking this morning about what is the difference between first half Michael Backlund and the second half. Well, it's all competitiveness. And, Andrew Mangiapane, and we've seen Blake Coleman be heating up as well lately, but it really does start with the middle of the ice. And if that's going, typically the rest of your team is as well. But we're seeing so much confidence in the centerman right now. I mean, he's attacking, he's making plays, he's relying on that shot, which I know you commented on during the game as well. He's got an excellent release. So it's interesting to see because in all these highlights, there's so much emotion and fire with these guys right now too. So you talk about competitiveness. We just saw a highlight pack that shows it perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we haven't even talked about it really, but in terms of the fire, there was some atmosphere in that building tonight. I mean, there was, well, you can't really skirt it because you could see it in the camera. There was a fair amount of blue in there.
Yeah, that's good.
You heard it even when they stepped on the ice for the warm-up, and that's generally the case. You get those teams that draw a crowd, they travel well, and Toronto is one of those teams. But I always like to think that it brings out a little bit extra in the home fans as well. And it
brought out extra in us, too. So
absolutely. It creates an atmosphere, right? And I think that's what we kind of felt here tonight. Well, we see Noah Hanifin, he's on his way. But so let's set it up, his avail here post-game with contributions. Again, one of those teams that has been current throughout this season has been secondary scoring. Where are you going to get it from? And last 2 games, you've now got 13 points from your back end. And quietly, I think it was 5, maybe 6 points last game. 5 different guys who contribute 6 points, mostly second assists or assists. But it's moving the puck up. It's getting the puck into the forwards' hands and generating offense that way. But you're getting some big points.
You are, and it's funny. Before this stretch even happened, Rasmus Andersson was, you said quietly, he's on pace for a career year in the point column. So I mean, it's been coming. But these are all young guys who have the pedigree growing up. They played junior hockey, or in Hanifin's case, the college route national team. They were offensive defensemen, so they've got that skill set. But the types of plays that you're seeing in this highlight pack, especially too. I mean, this isn't about skill. This is about the willingness to kind of go to those areas, the willingness and the confidence to step up and make plays. Or in Oliver Shillington's case, just unload when you've got a little bit of traffic going to the net. Same here with Rasmus Andersson. Walk the line and find those open lanes. And we're starting to see that more often, and it's good to see, because when we talk about secondary scoring, I think it's natural for a lot of people to look at maybe the bottom half of the forward lineup, but that's such an important part of the team. Yeah. Absolutely. But it all kind of comes together.
It can come from other areas, no question about it. That's a big point here tonight, and obviously Noah Hanifin's right at the forefront of it. He finishes with 3 points here tonight, including the goal, which is Darryl Sutter pointed out, might have been one of the turning points in this hockey game in that second period. Let's hear from Noah Hanifin now.
On a night like this, as a defensive group like the 6 defensemen, you guys have got to take a great deal of pride in all the different contributions you guys made.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think we're rolling all 3 pairs. Everyone's contributing in different ways, and it's nice. We're helping out offensively a bit as well. I think all the defensemen contributed tonight, so it's good. It's our job is to be strong back there, be physical. You look at Z's hit tonight. That kind of kicked it off for us, I thought, being physical against a real skilled team over there. So we just got to keep building off it.
Your goal, that's a set play.
Yeah, sometimes we just try to catch guys off guard a little bit, and I saw an opportunity to go back door, and Razzie made a great play, and thankfully it worked out. But doesn't happen all the time, especially off face-off plays. But fortunately tonight it worked out.
When Raz is at the goal line and you're in the slot, is there some pressure to score that one?
Yeah, I have trust. Johnny's pretty good playing D back there, so we had. And we were looking at it after. I think Chucky and Johnny were at the blue line getting ready to take a odd man rush back, but yeah, the opportunity was there, and we all have confidence to make plays, and we saw an opportunity, and fortunately it worked out.
Like, the defense don't end up in the offensive spotlight a lot. What are nights like this like for you guys, and how kind of contagious is it when it gets going?
Yeah, I mean it's huge. I think we always want to play as a unit of 5, and we don't want to be dumb necessarily, taking unnecessary risks. But if there are opportunities there, I think everyone can skate on the back end, everyone can move and get into play, and when we play the right way, when we play physical, we get pucks in, we kind of grind teams down. It gives us more opportunities to be aggressive and join on the offensive side.
From our vantage,
Go ahead.
From our vantage point, it seems like you're capable of winning different ways, different nights. Sometimes it's your top line, tonight it's your defense. Are you as a group starting to feel that every night you can win, not just with that top line, but with different guys contributing every night?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think if we're going to be a winning team, we have to win in different ways. We can't always just rely on those top guys. They're obviously unbelievable for us, but everyone has to contribute, and depending on the type of game it is, we have a deep team, and we can roll all the lines and roll all the D pairs, and I think that's good. Especially if you want to be a good playoff team, you need to be deep and you need to be able to play everyone.
Bit of a loaded question, but were you guys the better team tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good game. They're a really good team. They have a lot of skill. They definitely got some chances. Markey once again played great for us, made some big saves. I think. But I thought we played a good game. I thought we did some really good things. I think at one point, we were grinding them down pretty good and getting some momentum, especially there in the second period. I think we can learn just when we have that lead, when we have that big lead, just to be a little bit more composed and be a little bit more relaxed and know how to play in that situation. But other than that, I thought, we had a good night.
Is there a significance beyond just getting the 2 points that are available to starting a 7-game homestand with a couple performances like this?
Yeah, obviously we knew coming, off the break, these are 2 real good teams that we're going to have to play. And, we want to take advantage of these home games. We're on the road so much at the beginning, that can kind of be a grind. And obviously I thought we did a pretty good job of that, but now we have a chance to really take advantage of being at home and, getting our home crowd involved and kind of wearing teams down. So, I think these 2 games were a good start for us out of the break.
Did it feel like a playoff game to you from what we saw, the scrums, the loudness? It certainly felt like the atmosphere is playoffs. What about for you?
Yeah, we felt it for sure. You could tell it was a lot of jam in the building. And, I thought, especially after Z's hit there, it got pretty rowdy. And it was a competitive game. It's a playoff type of game, 2 good teams. And, that's how we have to play. Those are the games you want to be a part of. You want to be a team that can break teams down and use your building, for momentum. So it was a fun night.
It's 5 wins in a row in this building. I think the score is 24-4 over that period. That would suggest you guys are feeling good and making this a tough place to play. Does that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. That's our goal, and that's something Darryl's talked to us a lot about. And I think towards the beginning we weren't so great at home, but I think now we're starting to find that rhythm and we're getting comfortable. And we like playing here, and we want to make this a hard place to play. And like I said, having all these home games for the next few months, we really got to take advantage of it. And it's good. We're having a lot of fun, and obviously we have, I think, 4 more games at home, so let's take advantage of it.
We call it the Ram 1500 Limited. But truth be told, there's nothing limited about it. Ram 1500, winner, J.D. Power Award for Best Driver Appeal.
All right, welcome back to Flames Postgame Live, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. There's some thoughts from Noah Hanifin, the defenseman, contributes. I threw to it as 3 points, but they've now corrected that on the official score sheet. Rasmus Andersson's goal originally had Matthew Tkachuk and Noah Hanifin with helpers on it. That has now been changed to an unassisted marker. So we're down from 7 defensive points to 6 now, but regardless, the point still stands. And, some pride there, too, as well, from the back, the defenders in terms of the points and being able to now 12 points. I said 13 going in, but now 12 in the last 2 games from your back end.
Heard it there from Noah Hanifin talking about, you mentioned pride. That's a good word here, because I think there's a lot of ownership being taken from this group right now, knowing that there has been a lot of talk about secondary scoring and the top line being involved in so much of the offense this year. You absolutely want to be known as a deep team that can have contributions from all over the lineup. And when you have nights like this that directly translate into victories, obviously that's going to give you a little bit of confidence, not only personally, but for the team as well, because I think they can start to see the type of team they can be down the stretch, especially over these last 2 nights, because these are some excellent hockey teams that they've gone out and put up some pretty good numbers against.
Yeah, well said, for sure. And, you kind of look at the schedule, the way it sets up, and it's an interesting one because there are, some time off. There's some, 2 days off here coming after the weekend. You'll play 3 and 4 here now. New York is in town. The Islanders back in town on Saturday night. But, there's some moments there. You can get some rest, some recuperation. You get 3 game weeks and then 4 game weeks going to pick up in March. But, that's what it's all about, the momentum, rhythm we've kind of talked about. That hasn't really been the case so far this season on home ice. You're getting an opportunity to do that right now. And, as Noah pointed out, you get 5 more here at home ice and an opportunity to really, make some ground here on home ice.
7-game homestand, and you have another set of these back-to-back games coming up next week too. So, we kind of talked about it with Jacob Markstrom off the top. How does the team sort of manage that workload? We know, I think you said it was 2013 since we've last experienced these in a pandemic season, North Division season,
fanless, whatever
you want to call
Canadian
last year,
division.
but
sure,
it happened anyway. But it's going to be interesting to see the way that they do manage it. But you talk about getting into a rhythm, so maybe fatigue doesn't become as much of a factor as it might be on the road, especially when you're putting up some goals and winning games like they have been, because it's less about thinking about your next opponent in periods of 5 or 7 day breaks like the All-Star game brought us. Now it's a matter of carrying it over from game to game and building on that momentum.
Rasmus there now, guys? So All right, let's listen into the final post-game comments from tonight's hockey game. Rasmus Andersson, another one of those stars, star number 3 on the evening. Here's number 4.
Maybe the defense could have chipped in a little more tonight?
Maybe. I don't know. It's I thought all 6 of us played a good game. So it's a skilled team we play, and they have a lot of firepower. But I thought the 6 of us as a marquee played a solid game, and it was a good result for us.
It's not often that the defense as a whole in this sport just gets the spotlight thrown on them, but after tonight's game, I think that's the talking point. Guys contribute in so many different ways too. That's probably the most impressive part.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, our PK was good. Our power play, we probably should have scored 1 or 2, and our 5-on-5 was good. Our D, as you said, our D-core, we played well tonight, and we need those nights too.
Perhaps it's often when the conversation shifts to secondary scoring, I think people think of other forwards. But is there more then from that back end where you can kind of bridge that gap a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it now. I think Bax had 2 assists. Manji scored, so I mean, I think our secondary scoring has been there as of late. So, but yeah, I mean, it's nice for us D-men too to get on the score sheet, and overall, as I said, I think we played a good team game.
It felt like a playoff game from our vantage point. It was loud. There were lots of scrums. Did it feel like a playoff game to you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we all know how tight it is in the standings, and as of right now, we're chasing Vegas every game, and we gotta be on point every game, and we played a really good game yesterday, and we played, considering it's a back-to-back, we played a really good game tonight too.
Where did this game turn?
Hard to say. I mean, they scored the first one, but the shift after they scored, I mean, Bax and Manji makes a really good play, and they get us back to even 10-15 seconds later, and I think that's when the game shifts, and I can't remember who scored the second one. If it's who scored the second one?
Part of it.
What was it, Hanny?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the third one. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, ever since we got the second one, we try to kill the game, and then we go out and get the third one right after. So I think the game shifts when we score the 1-1 goal, I think.
Once Noah and Oliver had one, did you have to get one just to sort of keep up, or how's that work?
I mean, I'm not really known for scoring this year, so no, but it's always nice to get one, and it's as I said, I mean, overall we played a really good team game, and it's always nice beating these guys.
So what does it feel like on the bench when it goes from 1-1 to 4-1 that quickly?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, feels good, and yeah, I mean, once we got the second one, or once we got the first one, I just felt like we were just rolling, and we were rolling, and yeah, I mean, obviously go up to 4-1, and they take a timeout after the third one, and we go out and score the fourth one, and then the fifth one. So it kind of felt like, even when they get their second one, it felt like they didn't really get close. And as I said, I thought all 20 guys who played tonight played really well.
What do these 2 games say about your team? Those are 2 pretty impressive wins against good teams.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot. We have a good character in the room, and we're ready to play coming off the break. And yeah, it's honestly just. It feels really good to win back-to-back games, and especially at home, and get the crowd going, and all of that stuff. So it was 2 really good wins here for our team.
You guys are going to be at home for quite an extended stretch now. Do you feel kind of a swagger building in terms of how you guys play on home ice?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it felt like. Before this, we didn't really have any home games, right? Like it's, we played 1 or 2 here, and then 7, 5, 6, 5 on the road all the time. So, but yeah, we got to build up the swagger, and I think this was a good start. And I think a few other guys have talked about this being a really tough place to come in and play, and that's what we just got to keep doing for teams that comes in, and we got to make it a really, really tough and long night for the opponents.
Let me just ask you one more.
All right, there's some thoughts on the post-game show here from Rasmus Andersson, the final goal scorer in the night, gets the Flames' 5th goal, his 2nd of the season, and adds to the total already from Oliver Shillington and Noah Hanifin here on this night as we put a wrap on this hockey game. Maybe just some final thoughts. We get a little off day here tomorrow. Not off day, but off the ice, I suppose, and just regroup for New York on Saturday.
Well, we were talking about it. They now own the NHL's longest current winning streak. So feeling pretty good about your game, they must be. So you don't really want to change a whole lot. And I think you mentioned off day. It's kind of interesting here, and I probably put way more emphasis on this than is actually needed. But I'm really fascinated the way that Darryl Sutter's kind of handled his teams, following back-to-back nights, whether they're at home or on the road. He rarely gives them the full day off after, right? He brings them in, and whether they get a practice in or if it's an off-ice workout like we're expecting tomorrow, the players are still in it, right? The mindset's there, and you've got to be, because you got another good team coming in who's also pretty capable of putting up offense on Saturday. So they're going to be involved in it. The attention, you can tell just based on some of the comments, they've already turned their focus to that one, and like Rasmus Andersson said, keep riding the wave.
And on we go, and as he kind of talked about, you haven't had a ton of home games to get into that rhythm, that sequence, and it's starting now because it is game number 2 here tonight in terms of that 7-game homestand. It is a season long for this hockey team, and it's a successful result here tonight for the Calgary Flames, 5-2 the final score, and make it 5 consecutive games overall, 5 straight on home ice. As mentioned, that momentum starting to build a little bit for the Calgary Flames, and they'll try and carry that into Saturday night when the New York Islanders are in town, the second and final meeting between these two teams on Hockey Night in Canada. Thanks for watching Flames Post Game Live, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. We'll see you on Saturday night.